You're listening to EVS Studios. Welcome, people. You're listening to the Eric and Reno Show. Thanks for joining us. I have a friend here, Nathan, and I'm going to butcher his last name. It's DeArman, right?
Of course it's DeArman. DeArman.
DeArman. How come your name doesn't have like a hyphen in it or something like that behind the D?
It's got the capital A.
That's true. It throws Americans off. Kind of like my last name, Van Spronson. They're like, "Oh, can you spell that?"
You go to Europe, and it's actually a French name. You go to Europe, and you actually see that name all over.
100% of the time, right? No doubt about that. Anyway, hey, thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Eric and Reno Show. Love to have you guys reach out to me. I got an email address for you, ericandreno@duck.com. That's right, duck, just like the quack quack. Spelled the way it is, ericandreno@duck.com. I guess we want to go ahead and get to disclaimers, because every show starts out with a disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this show by the guest and host do not necessarily reflect the position of the broadcast streaming service, their affiliates, or their advertisers. Or does it?
It might.
Every single time I hear one of those fucking disclaimers on a radio show that someone is, the management staff does not necessarily. What if it does? It could possibly.
That's what they say. It doesn't necessarily.
Or maybe they agree with 85% of what's going on. You have to admit, though, if you're a advertiser, a national wide, maybe an international advertiser, whatever TV show or news show you're advertising on, you must agree with them, right? Otherwise, you get canceled.
Right.
And how many companies got canceled for advertising on the wrong TV shows or
you hear about
something
shows.
like that.
You hear about shows where somebody said something people didn't agree with, and all of a sudden the advertisers start pulling their advertising money. So obviously they agreed with them until they said that one comment, and then
or didn't have an opinion until someone actually did have an opinion about it, and then they're like, "Well, we can't advertise with that particular person. That person is, saying things that may or may not piss people off, and we don't want that." Well, you were advertising with this network for 10 decades in a row, so you must have been okay with most of it at one time. Anyway, so we got that disclaimer out of the way. If you've listened to some of our other episodes, you know I play music on here. Had a friend of mine ask me, "How do you get music on your podcast?" I play what I damn want. I'm not getting any money from anybody. I don't have any advertisers. Till I can monetize this, which I doubt it. I'm not that talented. I'm going to play music because I love playing music. Now, one of the things I think is kind of one of the loopholes as far as playing music on podcasts, so far, most of the songs I've chosen, they're all over 30 years old. Mm-hmm. When is the statute of limitations on your fucking copyright laws? And besides, I wrote something down here. I have a music disclaimer. I'm going to go ahead and read that. I shared this with a friend of mine before, and he was like, "I like your attitude about it, but good fucking luck." Music disclaimer. Music heard on this show are the sole property of the performers and the recording labels. If you like what you hear, go to your favorite music streaming service and download it and or buy it. We play it here to share with you and help them make more money. This show receives no monetary incentives yet. Did I say that word right? Incentives, yeah. I think I put centimeters in the middle of that word or something.
Inches.
This show receives no monetary incentives yet. So, to the record label execs and lawyers, bite me. I play what I want. I'm helping you generate clicks and downloads, so maybe you actually owe me money.
Perhaps.
Good luck with that, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's not going to stand in court at all, is it? No. Now, I feel like I have a open, universal agreement with the music world. At least I just put it out there.
I feel like I do. I've had that agreement my entire life.
Look, I've paid for this music.
Right.
And I'm not charging to have you listen to it.
Well, most radio stations, they don't pay for their music either. They play it for free.
That's how they promote them. Right? Talk about music in the music industry. You talk about radio and stuff like that. The way musicians make money these days is much different than what they used to.
Way different.
And unless you're as big as Taylor Swift and selling out stadiums, you're not making anywhere near the money these people back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s were making, or even the early 2000s, just because people don't listen to radio necessarily. They pay for a streaming service or not pay for one, because you can listen to a streaming music service with ads, whatever you want to do. I do enjoy my Pandora membership.
Yep.
Do you have one of those?
I do pay without the ads.
Yep, I actually pay for it.
We pay for it. It's like $12.99 a month or something like that, or $11.99 a month.
Well, we set up outdoor speakers in our backyard when we redid our whole backyard back in 2019, I guess is when we did that. And I was playing Pandora on outdoor speakers. We had some friends over, and here comes a commercial. And I'm like, I don't like it when I'm doing commercials like this, because I could just stream my, iTunes music that I have, uploaded on my phone or whatever. My buddy's like, you can pay for the premium service, and you don't have to listen to commercials. I'm like, okay. So I think
it's worth every penny. What's cool about it is you can look up pretty much any record ever dropped and play it within seconds.
I really like shaping my own stations on Pandora. So I can just go
thumbsing it up and
thumbs up.
Yep.
Just play the thumb stuff. It's really cool. I appreciate that a lot. What else was I going to say about the music? The touring and album sales. Well, people don't buy albums anymore.
Right.
When you hear about, the album went platinum, they don't measure it by that anymore, because people are downloading one song at a time and stuff.
If you look at maybe a couple months ago, you looked at the Billboard Top 100, right? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, number one was selling 2 million records in like a week, right? Now the number one album sells like 6,000 records a month, like a week. Like it's, so they're not making any money off of the physical record sales anymore.
It's so different. Like I said, people are just downloading, one song at a time. And back in our day, God, I hate sounding like old men, but I will tell you, I am turning into that guy that is, get off my fucking lawn. You just get, your patience just disappears the older you get. However, I am the type of person that if you're on my lawn, I'm going to ask you why, and you better have a good reason. And I'm, be creative. You came over for a reason. You want to talk to me? I don't know. You need help? What's going on? And then if you're a piece of shit, get the fuck off my lawn. Anyway, we had a situation here a couple of weekends ago. Next door neighbor, high school kid. I think he's a junior. He is a wrestling superstar. They go to state finals and everything like that. And he wins a lot. And he's doing really good. Well, it was the end of their season, I guess, is what they had, or they had a match or something like that. And their parents were really cool. And the kids that come over, he invited a couple of buddies over, hung out. I don't know what they're doing in the house. We had some neighbors when I was a kid growing up. Actually, the kids were much older than me. I was like in elementary school. The dad would have his son and all his buddies over, get all the car keys, put them in a basket, and he locks them away and drink whatever you want. All underage drinking, obviously, but you're spending the night. You ain't going anywhere. They're not doing that next door, I don't think, because I don't see the number of booze bottles or anything like that. But I guess what happened is that the competing school at the wrestling match posted the gathering next door. Tracy and I woke up. There were 7 cop cars outside here, and probably a little over 100 high schoolers. And as soon as the cops show up, they all start fucking leaving. Well, there was kids jumping over this back wall here that's right up against that busy street behind us. Right. You go over that wall, it could be 12 feet down, though. It's not like just the same level that the...
Right.
It was pretty funny. Everybody looked fairly respectable. I didn't see any, real losers.
Were there any arrests?
No.
They just scattered them and let them.
Some neighbor called, and my wife my wife Tracy. She has a name. She brings it up every time I say my wife. I think it's endearing. I say my wife, rather than just saying her name all the time. Yeah. Anyway, Tracy was standing outside. The cops came over.
I have a wife too, by the way.
She has a name too. Anyway, Tracy was standing outside. Cops came over. Are you the one that called? Do you want to press charges? She's like, no, we like our neighbors, and their kids are good. And well, this just got out of hand, and it really wasn't their fault. But that was quite fun, having all that activity outside. Anyway, what were you going to bring up? You said you had something that you wanted to cover real quick. First of all, actually, I know what I wanted to cover.
What?
I forget where you work again.
I know.
I know you've told me so many times.
Geodis Logistics.
Okay.
Used to be Osborne Hesse. OHL.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So did OHL get bought out?
They bought out. They're actually
nationwide. They're actually international, right?
Yeah, they're actually a French company. They're
no
actually like
kidding.
the French national transportation company.
Wow.
And they wanted to make I guess go into the States, and they bought OHL. And,
that's a good way to do it if you got the money to do it. Wow. And I'm assuming you're brokering loads there. What are you doing? No. What are you doing?
A warehouse manager.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. How's that going?
It goes, pays the bills, right?
Those forklifts are expensive to have mechanics work on them, aren't they?
Oh, geez, you have no idea.
Oh, no, I do have it. That's why I brought it up, because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know what else is super expensive to maintain? Are big rigs. Oh, my gosh. My big rig was in the shop. I just got it back Thursday, so just a couple days ago. And they had it for 3 weeks. We were waiting on parts. So thank God we had another truck I could be using. And the labor at Peterbilt is $215 an hour.
Jeez.
And there was a couple of things that they were fixing, and they just put 0.8 hours on this, and, whatever 0.8 is, 215. I'm like, damn, he barely even touched anything. That probably only took him 10 minutes to do, but that's what the book says, and that's how they charge. I am so glad I don't own any big rigs anymore.
Right.
I thought they were expensive back then. Now they're even more expensive. I'm pretty sure the truck I drive brand new was probably like $200,000. And I'm like, holy crap. I remember making those lease payments on the trucks I owned. And I could never buy a new truck. I had worn out stuff.
Right.
But now my company buys new stuff, so
yeah.
That's pretty good. But even the new stuff breaks down.
It's always been so hard to make money in trucking, though. In the trucking industry, it's just mainly because of maintenance. You just can't, maintenance and finding a good driver that's actually going to drive enough miles to actually make you some money.
And take care of the vehicle. So it's not a piece of shit or broken down or cares that getting to the delivery appointments on time or pickup appointments on time. I got a buddy works at a distribution warehouse out in USA Parkway, and every time we get together, he's like, Eric, what the hell is up with these truck drivers? Every time there's a problem, and these guys think they show up 20 minutes before 5, they're going to get loaded tonight. No. You come back tomorrow morning. And I try to remind him, man, you know what you're doing to that guy, making him wait a whole night until the following morning to get loaded? He goes, I don't care. I go, exactly. You don't realize, I mean, I'm not expecting you to stay overtime, to load and stuff. But when you charged up time throughout your week, it's the difference between getting home Friday night versus, Saturday night sometimes, as far as get back home to your family, which that's what my big hurry always was. My favorite question, I still get it to this day. I'm somewhere to deliver a pickup or something like that. I don't do that too often anymore. We do bulk chemical deliveries. And you get to the shipping manager or something, and they ask you, hey, you're not in a hurry today, are you? When am I not in a hurry? Yeah. I got a federally mandated electronic logbook hooked up to the truck up there on the dash. It's hardwired right into it. There's no change in anything. I've started my day. That timer's going. And I can run out of time before I get to where I need to go the rest of the day or something like that.
Well, yeah, but the average person doesn't understand the regulations. All they know is there's somebody driving their truck. They don't understand that you can only drive.
And they're in my way. Why is this truck in the fast lane?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that guy is probably adjusting to something in front of him that maybe you can't see around him. Like maybe somebody was trying to merge, or there's somebody going 20 under the speed limit or something. All they see, this big fucking truck is in front of me and in my way.
Right. Yeah. He's in front of me. He's going 35 miles an hour. Well, he doesn't understand because he's got 80,000 pounds of who knows what in the back of his trailer.
Yeah. I'm usually going 4 to 9 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. Trust me, I'll get the hell out of your way.
Yeah. You don't have governors in your truck?
My truck, currently, it'll do 75 on the cruise control, and it'll do 77 on the floor, which just gives me enough extra to get around
good,
somebody.
Like Swift and those bigger companies, they don't go over 55.
Talk about people that don't know with truck situations. 90+% of all trucks on the road have speed governors of some sort.
Right.
So when you're going down the freeway, and let's say like right here out on I-80 here in Reno, Nevada, it's 65 all the way from the state line all the way until you get out to the other side of USA Parkway. Well, when you're attempting to do 75, 80 like everybody else does on the freeway, and there's a truck out there who's doing 65 and he's not getting up out of the way, and he's got traffic on his right side, so he can't get over in that lane. but he's not attempting to do anything. He can't.
Right.
He's going as fast as that truck will allow him. And it's not safe, in my opinion. You have to be able to adjust to the flow of traffic around you. I drove for Swift when I first got my CDL back in the 96, excuse me. And they were governed at 57 back then.
I think they're still governed at 57.
Actually, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration mandated that they actually at least bump them up to 65. I mean, it's only 7 miles an hour difference is all it is. And big companies like that, they'll actually punish drivers a lot of the times. If you're a brand new driver, your truck is not doing over 65. If you're a driver that was involved in an accident or had some sort of logbook violation, let's say your truck is governed at 70, they might drop it down to 65 for it until you gain back whatever points. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they can control, but most people don't realize that, especially the people driving on the road and stuff. But yeah, that whole industry, you and I could do a whole podcast on that industry. By the way, Nathan and I, we first met working at LDS. What was it called? LDS Transport Logistics?
Logistics and Distribution Services.
There you go. Yeah, I know. People say, you work for the church. No. Logistics, Distribution Services. I started there actually way back in 2000. I was actually pulling their trailers with my truck. I had one truck at the time, and that lasted about 12 months. And then I went back to FedEx Ground and bought my second truck and went on from there. But then it was August 1st, 2011. I went back to work for LDS directly because they bought those company trucks. The reason why I know that date is because that's the date we moved into this house.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the reason why I know that date is starting because while I was trying to qualify for my mortgage for this house, they're like, yeah, don't change jobs yet. Don't. You want to make sure that you still have the job you had before. And I'm like, okay. And I told Sean, boy, how happy is he these days? This guy, constant back problems, didn't do anything about it. So he's just grumpy all the time.
All the time. But
when you would find him in a good mood, he was really pretty nice.
Actually, really cool dude. If he was in a good mood.
If he was ever in a good mood. They bought those company trucks. He goes, Eric, why don't you come drive for me? And I said, well, I can't come to work for you yet till I get into the house. He's like, no problem. We're probably not going to start up till then anyway. And he goes, we bought 8 company trucks, brand new 2011 Volvos with automatics. It was my first. And he said, we're going to show these owner operators how we're supposed to be doing it. So I guess they were having problems with some of the owner operators.
Well, because exactly. Owner operators, they only want to go one direction. LA and back. You ask them to, hey, would you go to Sacramento? Nope. I can't go that way. I don't do that.
Yeah. But, and then he says, hey, we'll have you drive for like 6 months or so. I ended up driving for 8 months, and then we'll move you into the office in the dispatch, which I already had experience brokering and dispatching. But that office was a nightmare. I mean, some of the craziest things happened there.
It was how that company stayed in business as long as it did. I have no idea.
They were making good money on their loads, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The majority of the loads that we did out of the Reno area were those PetSmart loads. I learned at the time that at any super grocery store, small grocery store, or even the independent, like the PetSmart, stuff like that, the most profitable items in a grocery store is cosmetics. The second is pet food. And I'm like, oh, there you go. No wonder we're carrying nothing but all these pet food supplies for all the PetSmarts and stuff like that. And I think we used to deliver to some of the Target distribution centers every once in a while, too.
Every now and then, yeah.
But that must have been how that company stayed together for so long. Got some high dollar
And the management was just atrocious.
It was unfortunate.
Yeah.
I saw a company that had a lot there.
A lot of potential.
Obviously, a lot of people worked really hard to build it up to where it was. I mean, they were a big player here in town. And to see it just being squandered away and people's little pet peeve frickin' things, it was like, oh my gosh, why does this have to be so difficult? Why can't everybody just be happy and be responsible and do their job rather than... I always felt like I was juggling too many things at one time. And then when I finally just set down everything I was juggling, I'd get yelled at. And I'm like, give me something. Help me out here. Anyway, we talked enough about that. What else you want to cover before we get to our musical bliss moment, which we got plenty of time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
I do know that I mentioned earlier that Dream Theater is playing at the GSR tomorrow night. Man, that group, I started telling you, and I'll share it with everybody else too. Super group hard rock, but they are the musician's musician, if you know what I mean by that. There are just some bands and some people that they're playing for a whole different level of audience, and they're playing for fellow musicians. You know what I mean? And they are that good. You probably wouldn't recognize any of the songs that they do unless you actually own their albums, which I don't.
Right.
But I do know some of the songs, and I was like, oh, I got to go see that live. I've seen them twice already.
It's awesome.
The drum set is bigger than this room we're sitting in. I mean, he's got fucking things all the way around him. I mean, bigger than Neil Peart's setup. And he uses it all. He plays it all really good. The guitar player, I don't know how he has that much muscle, enough blood to make those fingers fly as fast as he does.
They've got to be in their 60s.
They are.
Or even in their 70s even.
I don't know if they're quite that old. The keyboardist, he's like 6'5" and looks like, some Viking from the north. He's probably in his 60s. The other guys are all in their 50s and 60s. But they're all hard rock dudes. So they all have long hair way down to here. And they're sleeved up, tattooed, everything, tattoos on their face and stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Unless you're, going for a job interview.
Right.
Congratulations, facial tats. You're just
made yourself. It's not like Post Malone can ever actually go get a desk job or Jelly Roll.
Yeah. I don't think they want that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's what they're going for. But
but they're superstars.
Right.
It's when you're trying to make yourself a superstar, you might want to rethink some of that stuff. Right. Man, tattoos. There are some crazy tattoos on people. My algorithm on my Facebook. Imagine this. I see a lot of very attractive women, and some of them have serious amounts of tattoos. And I'm at the point now where it's like, you're a bikini model and 75% of your body's covered in black ink. I'm starting to think that some of that is photoshopped on. I'm thinking because the particular Facebook page I'm thinking of is a tattoo magazine Facebook page. And I'm thinking that they might dress them up a little bit, but there are some crazy tattoo work on there.
Well, I remember, 20, 30 years ago, and tattoos were almost like you didn't really talk about them. You might have a few, you'd hide them, but now it's like everybody's just, show me what you got, There's a carpet cleaning service here in town. I think it's Evergreen Carpet Cleaning. The owner. Yes, he's on the commercials.
He's on his commercials.
Right.
He is tattooed.
I see it. Yeah, I see
up to his mouth.
Wow.
His entire neck, obviously sleeves. I'm sure the rest of his body's covered. Hey, if that's your thing, that's okay. But I'm just saying, he's bold as a business owner, and he has a very successful business. So apparently it's not as taboo as it once used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
50 years ago, the only people that had tattoos were criminals, guys that did time, and sailors.
Yeah, guys in the military.
Military guys, yeah. Do you have any ink?
I do not.
I don't have any ink either.
I'm not a tattoo guy. I never have been. I would get tired of it. Whatever it is, I would get tired of it. I'm just, man, I got tired of looking at that 30 years ago.
That's my worry about getting something on my arm or something. Yeah. I did pick out my first tattoo. Don't know if I'm ever going to get it. I'm getting closer to, I think I actually might. I was just talking to a buddy of mine. He's all sleeved up and stuff, and he's got some really cool. He's got the Statue of Liberty wrapped in an American flag, and there's like, it looks like it's moving, kind of up his arm kind of thing. It's gorgeous. I picked out my first tattoo. I came up with this idea more than 10 years ago. Just an American flag on the top side of my arm, like if you were in the military and you have your uniform on, that flag they have right there on the arm.
Right.
I think that would look good.
That'd be pretty cool. Isn't it upside down though, or is facing them? Right. In the military, the flag faces
I know it's
them.
not.
So, you and I, when we look at it looks backwards. Right.
Oh, I think you're right.
Right. The flag faces them. So.
Upside down usually means distress. Distress of some sort. Yeah. In fact, kind of a funny fact. Black and white American flag means it's actually a military thing. Means your unit is in some sort of distress of some sort. So if you ever see a black and white American flag, it usually means some sort of problem, distress. We're under attack and we're losing, whatever it might be.
Right.
Same thing with having the American flag upside down. You're asking for help. I went on Wikipedia because my brother, as you know, my pickup, I had the hood and the top wrapped in a black and white American flag print, which looked really cool because the black matched the original black of my pickup. I did that because I was losing the clear coat on my hood and on my roof. And my brother saw it and he goes, "So what's that mean?" And I'm like, "Well, black and white American flag, looks kind of cool. And it means your, nation's in distress or your unit's in distress," which, depending on which president's in the White House, there's some stress.
Right.
I went on Wikipedia, looked it up. People can post anything they want on Wikipedia. Someone hijacked the definition of black and white flag. They said it represents all inclusivity.
Oh.
And I'm like,
okay.
I thought the rainbow flag does that.
I thought that, yeah.
They went on and on and on. I'm like, oh no, somebody hijacked this bullshit. This is not what it means at all.
Right.
I went to another website, Googled it, and it said exactly what I knew, that it's a military thing and units in distress. For people to hijack things like that, I find so hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, thinking about American flag, probably just get black and white right on my arm, but I don't think anybody would see it. I don't look good with my shirt off.
Right.
I never have. I haven't looked good with my shirt off since I was 7.
Right.
Shit,
right.
Maybe 6, actually.
Right.
Not thinking about when I was 7. I was a little roly-poly even when I was 7. There's no doubt about that. So I don't think anybody would ever actually see that. But in my industry, tattoos don't really matter.
Right.
I mean, hell, look at my facial hair. This is as bushy as my beard's ever got. It's getting springtime outside, and I'm probably going to shave this down and eventually go back to my normal goatee-looking thing that I got, which I haven't been without facial hair since 1997 is when I first started growing my mustache and my beard, and I just kept it. Sometimes it's a full beard like this in the winter. Sometimes it's a goatee.
I did notice, no offense, that the hair on the top of your head seems to be thinning out a little bit.
Yeah, it's completely gone in some places.
Mine's not thinning; it just seems to be turning a different color.
Good for you,
right?
Because I definitely got the old man balding pattern,
right.
Except for I have hair on top of my head. So both of my little brothers, they've been bald since their mid-30s, and but they do have the Vance Bronson hair. I call it a hair loop. Starts above your sideburns, goes about maybe 2 inches above your ears, and goes all the way around to the back. And you got this big patch in the back, and then a big old circle like where a yarmulke would go.
Right.
Well, at least I got hair in front of that on top of my head.
That's valid. Yeah.
Both of my brothers do not. They are completely bald on the top, and both of them actually just shave their heads completely. Like, I'm not fucking with this. My grandfather on my mother's side died with a full head of hair, and I have his hair. When I say full head of hair, I mean he still had hair on the top of his head.
Right.
So, I've been shaving all this off with my cool little shaver thing that you bald guys use to shave their head.
Right.
And just try to leave all this, and hey, as long as it's there, I'll just keep using it. But yeah, this getting old thing sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, my hair's turned different colors too. I got way more grays on me than I like to admit.
Well, geez, I mean, how long have we known each other since? You said 2011, right?
2011.
So that would have been 14 years, right?
It's been that long.
I was in like my 30s, I think, at the time.
I was
my low 30s, like my early 30s.
I was 41 at the time, and yeah, we were much better looking back then, weren't we?
We were.
Actually, I'm just coming into my prime. What are you talking about? Speak about looking good without your shirt on and stuff. I don't know, how old were you the last time you looked good with your shirt?
I don't think that ever happened.
2, 3, 4. I was cute back then.
Well, I was always a skinny guy. I was always that little paper thin skinny guy that had no muscle whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
and I've always been pretty good and round most of my life, although I'm a lot smaller now than even when you first met me. I really embarrassed about how big I just allowed myself to get.
Yeah.
It was 2019. My wife Tracy and I flew to Hawaii to visit my brother Scott and his wife Rachel and stuff, and got back from that trip, and I'm looking at photos of us and stuff, and I'm like, who the hell is that big fat ass guy? He's wearing 4XL t-shirts,
right,
which covers everything up, but man, that guy's big. And so I started to take my weight loss a little more serious back then. And then, of course, 3 months later, COVID hits.
Right.
Boom. Diet be damned.
Shot that out of the water.
Yeah. Diet be damned. We're talking about possibly not surviving this or anything.
Right.
And, I was nervous at first, at the beginning of the pandemic, but within 2 to 3 weeks, I was like, okay, this isn't as serious as they were expecting. Because they were saying 7 million Americans dead the first month. Well, when that didn't happen, I know a lot of people died, but nowhere near 7 million per month.
Right.
And we should have adjusted course then.
We should have. And not to get into politics, but COVID,
which is okay, by the way.
Right, true. COVID was one of those. My wife and I, we never really fell for the whole mask thing. We never did, and it's nothing against anybody that did. If you lost somebody that passed away,
I hated it.
It's just when I heard that 85% of the people just get a cold and just small flu. I'm good with that. I'm fine.
Did you ever have COVID?
As far as I know, I never got it.
So I actually eventually did. And it was February of 22, so a full year after it started. I was down in our Sacramento yard, and all of a sudden, it's like somebody took the Energizer batteries right out of me. All of a sudden, my energy just went, roar. And I was like, holy shit, I don't feel good. Like a flu just hit me all of a sudden, like never before. And I'm like, well, I got to get back home. I got to drive my big rig back to Reno and go home. This is not good. And of course, I didn't want to get tested or anything like that, but I did. Because I needed to know what the hell was wrong with me. I was sick for 12 days.
Oh, wow.
By the way, coming back from Sacramento, around the Nyack area with all the forest trees, I started getting tunnel vision. I mean, my energy was shot out of me. It was crazy. I was home for 12 days. I never had a temperature. I didn't lose my sense of taste or smell. I had zero energy, just felt gunky crap, I wasn't coughing anything up or anything, but I did have this mucus dripping down the back of my throat that tastes like metal that would make my stomach upset. So that was bad. And I did get tested. Oh, yeah, you're positive. Oh, okay, great. Well, there was no medication you could take or anything like that. So just go home and stay warm.
And that was before
away from people.
That was before the shot, right?
Yep, definitely before the vaccines. Which it's not a vaccine. Vaccines immune you from something. Those were flu shots. And there's a lot of people talking about those things these days. Anyway, so on the 12th day, I started feeling a little better. It happened to be on a Friday. Tracy, my wife, comes home from work and, typical Friday afternoon after work, we start drinking cocktails. Well, I didn't feel like having a cocktail those 12 days because that sounded like one of the most unappetizing things I can actually put in my body. Wasn't interested in it at all. I still had an appetite. I ate those 12 days okay. But anyway, my wife comes home and she starts making a cocktail. She goes, "You going to want a cocktail?" And I thought to myself, that actually sounds good. Yeah, make me one. 12 days without a drink.
Wow.
At that time, that was a 30-year record without having a drink in my life. I thought about that. And I'm like, I know I'm not an alcoholic. Those people go to meetings.
Right.
I'm just a real good drinker. Holy crap. Am I good at it? Although, lately, getting back to my weight loss situation, really been serious about it the past 12 months. I'm down 65 pounds.
Nice.
And try not to drink during school nights, work nights, whatever. Because when I start drinking, that's when I make poor food decisions. And damn it, I work hard. I deserve to eat some potato salad. Oh, heck yeah, that's good. Of course, my wife's a great cook, so all the food she cooks is good. I had to overcome a lot of that too, trying to make better food decisions and stuff. And I really don't know exactly what my goal weight is. How much more, do I want to lose? Because I can definitely lose more. But I did come up with an idea. I'm not sure if I shared it with you or not. Because I've had many different people. "Oh, you're looking better. Well, how much farther are you going to go down?" I'm like, well, I don't know what that number is. In fact, right now I'm the size I was back in the late 90s. I got a whole new wardrobe of clothes I can fit into.
Right.
No need to buy new ones. Anyway, I find this funny. My wife does not find it funny, so I don't tell her anymore. And she don't listen to this show. By the way, I played one of my podcasts for her in the car one time. And about 5 minutes into it, I looked over at her in the passenger seat and I could just tell she was just irritated. And I turned it off and I go, you already got an ass full of Eric, huh? You don't need to listen to him talk on the radio anymore. So there's no way she's listening to this. Anyway, I told her, I tell people about, what my ideal weight is. My ideal weight, it's not a number, is when I'm out and about, like let's say I'm, I don't know, at the rib cook-off, maybe at a concert, something like that. Mm-hmm. And let's just imagine some attractive girl between the ages of 30 and 60. There's some hot freaking 58-year-olds out there. I'm friends with some of them, actually. And we really maintain ourselves quite well these days compared to... I remember when your parents were in their 40s. They look like they're in their 60s, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my parents too.
Oh, yeah. My parents were always old. I remember in first grade, my parents were old. They were probably like 35 or
I know,
something,
right?
It's
like, I'm never going to get that old. Now look at us now, right? Anyway, so maybe I'm out at an event or at a bar or whatever, and a attractive woman, might, see me, somewhere just in the crowd or something like that. And I'll know I'm at the right weight if she might think to herself, yeah, I'd hit that. We'll see what that number is as far as the weight. Trust me, I'm not that attractive of a man, but I can always dream, right? Always dream. Anyway, we were talking about COVID.
Yeah.
The mask thing you brought up.
Yeah.
My thoughts behind that. Mm-hmm. First of all, surgeons use them as spit guards.
Right.
That's it. They're not protecting anybody from anything. I, at my job, have a full face gas mask because I deliver chemicals. Mm-hmm. And my full face gas mask, it's a clear plexiglass plastic, and it seals your whole entire face, all the way from your forehead all the way down around your chin. And it has these two canisters in them. The air filters is what they are. And there are many different levels of air filters depending on what you're breathing around. These air filters, they actually screw on and screw off, have an expiration date of 12 months. So after you open them up by the package, you got to replace them every 12 months. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they're not going to work properly. They also say on there that if you need to use these filters in a dangerous situation, like let's say you're surrounded by chlorine gas or something like that, or the fumes from sulfuric acid that I deliver, which can be very overpowering, and you really don't want to breathe it because once it hits the moisture inside your lungs, it just starts burning them really bad. It says on there that these are only good for like 3-4 minutes and then get the hell out of there. I mean, it's not worded like that, but that's what it means. It's for you to go in to the room or wherever you're offloading, turn off a valve, secure what's ever leaking or something like that, and then get out.
It's not designed like to be in a war zone or anything with
mustard gas to work around it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, those respirators are a lot more expensive and a lot more work. Well, if you looked under a very, very, very powerful microscope and you looked at a water molecule or any molecule of any type, and then you looked underneath a very, very powerful scope of the size of what a virus is, it's like comparing the Earth to the sun as far as how big it is. That mask ain't stopping the virus from getting in or out. And I really hated that part of our life. It was not.
I guess I do see somewhat of the science behind it. They said it's better to have one than if you didn't have one. But I mean, the chances were.
I don't know how.
But
I don't know how.
Like I said, I never got it, and I was a terrible mask wearer. So I might have gotten it. Do you remember? I think it hit in like March of 2020, right? 2020, right?
Yep, 2020.
I remember it was like late January, and it was on the news, but it was still in China and Italy, and before it started out. And I got really, really, really sick. Like probably the sickest I've probably ever been. I was sick. In
2020, so
this is January, late January of 2020. Right?
Yes.
So we knew it was going around, but it hadn't made it to the States yet, as far as we knew.
A friend of mine is a nurse. Yeah. She was sick as hell, worse than ever in her life, in November of 2019. Her husband found her on the bathroom floor after being homesick for like 5 days. She was passed out because she just exhausted. Things coming out of both ends. The tile on the floor felt cool to her face, she said. And that's why most people lay on the floor in the bathroom. Like, oh, this feels good.
Right.
He's like, I'm taking you to the hospital. And she's like, no, there's nothing they can do or anything like that. And like I said, she was a nurse at the Carson Hospital at the time. And she felt better after about 2 weeks. And then when the pandemic started, she's like, oh, I had COVID.
Right.
Back in November of 2019.
That was I think it was in the States a lot earlier than people realize.
Obviously, it obviously was, because then she did actually get COVID a second time, even after she was immunized. That's a broad word to use. And she's like, oh yeah, that was definitely COVID I had back in November of 2019. It's funny because she decided if she's going to work in a hospital, which that's where all the sick people are, and that's where a lot of them go to die, unfortunately. She goes, I need to make more money. So she became a traveling nurse, making 3 to 4 times more than she was making working just for the Carson Hospital. And she worked at about a half a dozen hospitals on the West Coast. One of them in my old hometown in Modesto, California. She worked at the doctor's hospital there for, I think she was doing like 3 to 6 month contract or something. Anyway, she went to work for the hospital up in the Eureka, California area. She never came back. Her husband actually moved there. They've been living there for about a year and a half, I guess now.
Wow.
So she decided, I love this area and I'm going to live here. At that time, or just before she went up there, I was up there every other week delivering chemicals up there to the water treatment plants and stuff. And yeah, I love it. It's on the ocean. Everything's green. You better like the rain because it rains a lot, which is why everything's green.
But it's expensive too.
And the air is really clear. If I could make a living living in that area, I would consider moving, but I can't, unfortunately. Right. They don't like big rigs up in that area unless you're hauling lumber. But yeah, it is expensive to live up there, no doubt about that. And it used to be the pot growing capital of the freaking country back in the day.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the waitresses at one of the restaurants I was eating there, and she was like, you know what really ruined this town is when they legalized marijuana in California, because the business went away. Right. Now it's all legal and profit margins aren't what they used to be, I guess. But I thought that was quite interesting as far as what they were doing there. So tell me, what else besides warehouse managing are you doing with your life these days?
That's about it. Well, we have a 9-year-old.
Yeah,
they take up a lot of time.
That's a full-time job right
that's
there.
Pretty much it. We're not really doing a lot. So
there's nothing wrong with not doing a lot because it keeps it simple. Mm-hmm. I tell people I try to have as much fun as I can when I'm not at work, and it gets expensive after a while.
It does.
In fact, we've been focused on paying off our credit card debt for about the past year now, and we went a little crazy starting during the pandemic. We're stuck at home. Well, first of all, I was never stuck at home. I used to get so sick and tired of listening to people on the radio and TV going, oh, we're all stuck at home.
Yeah,
I was at work every day.
Yeah. I went to work every day, and on the weekends I'd go shopping just like I did before, and I'd wear the mask under my nose. So you're technically abiding by the.
Yeah. The only time I wore my mask is when I was going into somewhere like a grocery store where I needed something and wanted something, and I didn't want them to get in trouble because if they weren't enforcing the rules, they were going to be fined or sued or something like that.
But I don't think anybody ever actually gets fined. I know they were getting threatened with it, but I don't think I've ever actually heard of anybody actually ever getting fined.
Right here in Reno, technically it was in Sparks.
Right.
The OSHA was flying drones around some of the industrial areas and stuff, and they would catch people. There was this one particular industrial supply company, and they have a big yard, like a lumber yard, although they got all kinds of pipes and metals and stuff like that too. Saw half a dozen employees working outside, moving stuff around. Nobody's wearing a mask.
Yeah, but outside you didn't have to wear a mask outside.
$1,000 per person they were fined by OSHA. Oh, wow. And you know what I hate about OSHA? You'll never see your day in court. Mm-hmm. I understand we got to keep people safe. Definitely don't want employers taking advantage of their employees like they did 200 years ago where it was not safe to be at work sometimes. I understand the reasoning for OSHA, why you need it. It's how it's a good idea. It's kind of a watchdog for everybody. But these fines, they make them up. They are arbitrary. There's no menu that shows, if you do this violation, we're going to fine you this dollar amount and this dollar amount. No. They just decide. Mm-hmm. When I was working for Thomas Petroleum delivering fuel, one of our guys, he was just unhappy being there, I guess, claimed that we weren't doing something proper in the warehouse. And OSHA came out, did a full investigation, interviewed all of us. I'm like, should I have my lawyer present? Because I really don't want to talk to you guys. And they sent a letter to my boss, the manager there, and I appreciated that he posted this letter up in the break room on the cork board, so we could all see it. They decided to charge us $10,000 for not venting the fumes of the bio diesel product, which is mostly cooking oil. It really, really is. And we had to put in a bigger ventilation system in the warehouse because we store that in the warehouse. There was nothing else flammable in there but that. And but they did us a favor. They said this on the paper. They're going to cut it down to $5,000. Thank you.
It's like a 50% off coupon.
Yeah. Like what? And where did you come up with $10,000?
Right.
Because what we were doing in the situation at hand, it wasn't that bad of a OSHA violation that I saw. But yeah, people not wearing their masks, those companies received $1,000 fine per person. If you don't pay it, OSHA contacts your insurance companies. Insurance company drops you, you can't operate your business. It's a weird situation. If I get a traffic ticket, I get to have my day in court. I can defend myself. OSHA, you never see a judge, never see a jury. They do have arbitration. Yes, I know they have arbitration. Please tell me more about it. They're just going to see it their way. It's like dealing with the building codes, permit people and stuff like that. It's like, geez Louise, this is just crazy. Anyway, we were just talking about at the COVID thing, and you were talking about being sick like you've never been before, right?
Right.
Just recently, in December and January, I had a handful of friends and acquaintances that I got a bad flu bug. I've been sick for 2 weeks and I just can't kick it. Or I've had a cough for 3 weeks. I just can't kick it. Stuff like that. And I feel like crap, but I'm still going to work, whatever it might be. And I'm like, why don't you just admit you got COVID again?
Right.
and or one of its variants or something like that. Because I would then ask them, I go, is it a cold? Like a normal cold that you would get, your nose dripping, anything like that. Is it the flu? Have you been throwing up, your stomach upset? No, it's nothing like those two things. My whole body aches and stuff. I'm like, you got COVID again.
Right. Well, but it seems like this day and age, like when you get sick now, it's COVID.
Yeah. Well, it's with us.
Right. It's like
the way viruses work is you never completely get rid of them. They live in your body.
Yeah, they just alter themselves and change. Yeah.
Your body just learned how to combat it, so you're never sick.
In that form.
Correct.
Until it changes to another form, right?
A different variant, right? And I don't know how many variants are coming. And by the way, when is it going to be COVID-20 and COVID-21 and COVID?
Technically is. Right now it's technically COVID.
Is that what they're calling it?
Every year. So it was COVID-19 because they found it in 2019.
Is that why they call it 19?
That's what it actually was. That's why it's COVID-19 because
no
2019.
Idea. I thought it was the 19th batch they were experimenting with.
We are technically on COVID-25 right now.
Yeah, I was sick last year in February for about 3 weeks. Just didn't feel good, and I thought it was just a cold too. I went to work every day and stuff, and boy, those were some rough days. Oh wait, this is COVID again. I got the Johnson & Johnson one-shot vaccine back in the day because we were going on vacation in Mexico with some other friends of ours, and I was the only one not vaccinated, and I didn't want any problems trying to re-enter the United States and get held up at the Mexican airport or whatever. So I went down, got the Johnson & Johnson booster, or I mean the one shot.
The one shot.
And then 3 months later, they came out with the Johnson & Johnson booster. I don't know if you knew that or not. And I'm like, well, I got the first shot. We're going to Mexico in about a month. Maybe I should go ahead and get the booster too. Because at that point, then they would give you paperwork showing exactly what you had. So again, I wouldn't have gotten it if we weren't internationally traveling.
You had to carry those cards around with you like a driver's license. Yeah.
If I was not going to Mexico, I would never have gotten vaccinated. Anyway, so they got the Johnson & Johnson booster shot available. So I make an appointment with the Washoe County Health District. They were going to be at the local high school here, not too far from our house, this one particular day. So I made an appointment for 4 o'clock or whatever. I go down there and I go in their cafeteria area, and 4 people sit right up front at the table. These are all Washoe County Health Department employees. Those are some special people. They're not doctors. They're not nurses. They're working for a government agency. Anyway, give them my name, and they go, "Oh, we have you down here for the Johnson & Johnson booster." I go, "Yeah, that's correct." It really doesn't matter which booster you get. You can get the Moderna, you can get the Pfizer. It'll all help you either way. And I'm looking around at them, and I'm like, I started on this avenue already with the Johnson & Johnson. Let's go ahead and just stick with the Johnson & Johnson. They're like, okay, go ahead and take a seat over there. And, then the doctors would actually call you. This guy was cool. He's probably was a doctor at one of the hospitals here. And he was also probably National Guard, which those were the people that were doing all the testing and the drive-through lines and stuff like that. And he calls my name, comes over, and he opens up the envelope. Oh, Johnson & Johnson booster. I'm like, yeah. He goes, they try to talk you out of it up there up front? I go, they sure did. And I could tell by his face and the way he was shaking his head, that there was something fishy going on. And he said, this is the last Johnson & Johnson booster we have in the county. I said, lucky me. Gave me the shot. Thank you. Have a great day. The next day on the news, all Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccines pulled off the fucking market. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? I didn't want this to begin with anyway. So I'm expecting sometime in the not so far off future, I'm going to see a TV ad that said, did you get any of the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccines? You might be due some compensation. That's going to be me right there.
Make sure you call and get that compensation.
I will. I'm trying to figure out if I actually was at Camp Lejeune at one time or another.
I think I was.
I had to be, right?
I don't think I was even born yet, but I'm pretty sure I was there.
Back when all the lawsuits surrounding the Boy Scouts and inappropriate touch. I'm pretty sure I was inappropriately touched as well. Give me some money.
I was never in Boy Scouts, but yeah.
I went on one camp out. I didn't blacked out. I don't remember anything. I'm sure it happened. Come on, I was cute when I was young. Come on now.
Were you with Bill Cosby?
Oh, God. No, I'm not a hot chick trying to be an actress, unfortunately. God, what a nightmare. What a nightmare of a situation.
I know.
That whole thing. America's dad.
I know.
And he was a fucking monster. And it's just so ridiculous. And then the way the whole court situation went with the district attorney and the deal that they made with this, and then a new district attorney in that particular state, I don't remember where they even were, got elected and decided we're just going to charge him with all these crimes again before the statute of limitations run out on some of these victims, which I feel I'm not defending Bill Cosby whatsoever. But they made a deal with the original district attorney to turn over evidence and admit to a lot of things, and he wouldn't be prosecuted for that. New district attorney, we're prosecuting you just like that. And it's like, oh my gosh. Insane, especially at his age. But the only thing I will say good about Bill Cosby, he was funny.
He was, yeah.
He was thoughtful. He was a clean comic. He was thoughtful. He appeared to write things just about family situations and matters. Had a great TV show called Fat Albert that I used to watch all the time, a cartoon. Had a great TV show playing the Huxtables and stuff.
In the Cosby Show.
The Cosby Show. And it's so weird how, you take down the fucking veneers and all of a sudden, who the fuck is this lizard man?
Do you suppose he was doing it during the Cosby Show?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then, like I said, the whole thing that took place with how they were charged him with the crimes and stuff is just like, okay, somebody needs to write a book about this and update the do's and do nots when you're getting charged with a crime and stuff. How'd we get on that subject?
No idea.
We're just bouncing around here, having fun. Well, let's bounce to our music of, let's bounce over to our moment of musical bliss.
Let's do it.
My friend Nathan here suggested a good song. I think it's a very good one. It is actually from the musical group America, which if you guys don't know America, I'm sure you know some of their songs.
They had a good 5 or 6 hits back in the 70s.
Couple more than just that. Nathan suggested playing the song A Horse with No Name, which you guys have probably already heard, but maybe it's been a long time since you heard it. Got a little history behind the rock group America here. Their first album, released 1971, self-titled, called it America. What a name of a band.
I know, right?
Let's just call it America.
America. It worked.
What about the Presidents of the United States, or that one group?
Presidents of the United States of America.
It's not the dead. Was there a dead Presidents of the United States band or something? I don't know. It's kind of. I mean, it's catchy.
There was the Dead Kennedys.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, that album, released 1971, America debuted their album. They are considered a folk rock band Very, very folky, but pretty rocky too. Released December in 1971. The album is known for its acoustic-driven songs and harmonies. They are good singers. The harmonies in all of their songs are great. It became a massive success, featuring the hit single, A Horse with No Name. Their second album, Homecoming, released in 1972. Homecoming was the second studio album by America, released in November of 72. The album continued the band's success with hits like Ventura Highway. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite America songs, because 3-4 years ago, I was on the Ventura Highway at least once a month making deliveries, chemical deliveries down there. And every time I'd turn on and see the sign that says Ventura Highway, Ventura Highway, right. In the sun. You know how it goes. Their third album, 1973. So they're making an album every single year. Hat Trick. It was their third album, released in 1973. While not as commercially successful as its predecessors, the album includes tracks like Muskrat Love. That was not a hit for them. It was a hit later for Captain and Tennille. That's where you know that song from. Fourth album, Holiday, released in 74. The album produced 2 hit singles, Tin Man and Lonely People. We know those songs very well. Yes. Tin Man's actually my second favorite America song that I like a lot. I like all these songs, but I like some of them better than most. They would tell a story, obviously. And then usually, in my opinion, they were high as fuck when they wrote some of these songs. Yeah.
Well, especially the one we're about to listen to.
Absolutely.
What the heck is that thing about?
Hearts, their fourth album, released in 1975. The album includes the hit single Sister Golden Hair,
which is one of my favorites.
I was just going to say that was actually on the top Billboard 100 for quite some time. Actually, it reached number 4. Never got to number 1, but it did reach number 4. And the album was a certified gold album, so they sold a lot of that one. Hideaway, released 1976. Features their hit single Today's the Day. Don't know if I know that one.
I know that one.
I'll have to look it up.
To hear it.
The reason why I go over some of this stuff is so that you can do your own research. I had a friend of mine say, hey, your last podcast, I really liked that song. I went back and listened to that entire album. Found some really gems I forgot were on there. I'm like, that's why I do this. Right. So that, you can discover more things. Because I hate that. I have a hard time discovering new music that I like. Where do I listen to it? Where do I get it? It's like so confusing. And the older I get, the narrower my bandwidth of what it is I actually like. 1977, they released the album Harbor. 1979, released the album Silent Letter. 1980, Alibi. And then one of my favorite albums, View from the Ground. The hit off of that album is You Can Do Magic. That's an 80s hit. It came out in 1982. And in my opinion, definitely a very soft rock kind of sound to it.
The first time I ever heard of America, it's funny, I was probably... I think it was my 13th birthday. My parents, we were in San Antonio, went to SeaWorld in San Antonio, Texas. To see the Beach Boys, right? Which there are probably 100,000 people there, And there's a band called America that was opening up for them. I knew none of the songs. My dad was with me at the time, and he was like rocking out to every single song. He knew them all. He knew them all. And I'm like, and he's like, this is a really big one. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But 40 years later.
But you loved it.
Yeah, 40 years later, you're like, dude, this is amazing music.
In my opinion, that is the cornerstone symbol of a successful rock group or musician or song. You're there live, don't know any of their songs, but you loved them. I love it when I see a live group. Maybe it's a band I am familiar with, maybe not. And they play some song that I've never heard them play before. And I'm just like, that's really good. Yeah. I love that stuff. And I love seeing people perform live. We don't have as much of it as we used to, in my opinion. I mean, there's still some events and stuff, but to find somebody locally that's good is hard. I have some friends that are really good and have a band. It's called Valentine Rodeo. And they are fronted by my friend, two of my friends, Trey Valentine and his wife, Mrs. Valentine. That's all. I call her by her last name all the time. Who is it? Oh, that's Mrs. Valentine. Anyway, we're going to get to this song, Horse with No Name. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed our show. We had fun doing this. We're going to do more of these.
Of course.
And maybe they'll be even more organized than this one was. We're just kind of doing it off the cuff and talking about different things. So get ready right now for your musical bliss. If you like this song, go to your favorite streaming service, download it, play it, get some clicks on there. That's how the record companies make their money. So thanks for hanging out with us.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can remember your name, because there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 la. After 2 days in the desert sun, my skin began to turn red. After 3 days in the desert fun, I was looking at a riverbed, and the story it told of a river that flowed made me sad to think it was dead. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La, 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 la. After 9 days, I let the horse run free, 'cause the desert had turned to sea. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The ocean is a desert with its life underground and the perfect disguise above. Under the cities lies a heart made of brown, but the humans will give no love. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La, 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 la.
You're listening to EVS Studios.